Welcome everyone. Now my microphone is on. You probably saw my lips moving and said, what's going on with the rabbi? Nothing wrong. Well, I guess that's relative. But the mic was off. The mic was off. Good to see so many of you already connected. Let's see who is here. Denise, welcome. Chodesh Tov. Karen Farkas, you're here. Welcome. Alan, welcome. Rocky Pollack is here. Debbie Pollack is here. Shalom. Judy Sharak is here. But can you hear me now? I think you can hear me now. You can probably, I hope, hear me now. Where we are going to study Parshat Korach. What an interesting parsha this week. Ha! I don't know how much you know about Parshat Korach, but there is... hello, Claudette. Welcome. There is an episode that happened with this individual. Korach is a name, by the way. So what happened is he tried to rebel against Moses and he was punished. And the punishment is the earth opened and swallowed him and his followers. And I think this usually would be like a story from the Bible. But the interesting thing is something similar happened this last week in Israel, and it was very freaky. It was a sinkhole in Jerusalem at the same time that we were reading in the synagogue the episode of Korach. I don't know if you saw it in the news. If you did, let me know on the chat if you were able to see that, the sinkhole in Israel. If not, I think I have a video here. Let's see if I can play it for you so you have an idea what I'm talking about. Hold on a minute. Let's see. Oh, but it's what I guess I could. Hold on, you can't see it properly. How do I do this? I can probably change it like this. Okay. Look at the middle. Look at the middle of the screen and tell me what you see. Look at that. Look at that. So you got an idea. But that's happened in Israel at the same time that we were reading about Parshat Korach, and lots of rabbis were talking about it and giving their own opinion and why it happened at the same time and what we have to think about. And let's go see what Korach did wrong and repent. And you can imagine that part. Denise, you said it was a sinkhole in New Jersey this past week? I would like to know. I didn't hear about that one, but I heard about the one in Israel. So my point is it's going to be extra special to study Parshat Korach after what happened in Israel. That for sure. Now, Korach was a very interesting character. And the first thing we have to know about Korach is to try to understand his motivations. And that's the first thing that we are going to do in a minute. Marie Nazen, welcome. Welcome to the class. Oh, Denise, you said, yesterday. Okay. I'll check the news. Didn't read that one. I didn't have a chance to read that one. Okay. So let's study Parshat Korach. Let me bring my... Boom. Here it is. We are in the book of Numbers, chapter 16, verse 1. And it says, Vayikach Korach v'nitzar ben Keat ben Levi v'Datan v'Avidan b'nei Eliav v'On ben Pelet b'nei Reuven. And Korach, the son of Itzar, the son of Keat, the son of Levi, took. And Datan and Avidan, the sons of Eliav, and On, and the son of Pelet, the son of Reuven. Now, this is very interesting. And that's why I highlighted this word. I highlighted the word took. In Hebrew it's vayikach. That is at the very beginning of the verse, by the way. And I highlighted it because it's not clear why that word is there. Because the Torah doesn't really say what exactly he took. Vayikach Korach. Korach took, but what? If you see that verse, it doesn't say that he he took anything, unless that you're talking about the people. But the grammar in the Hebrew doesn't seem to point at that, because it should be written in a different way. But nevertheless, that's the very first word of the parsha, va'ikach. It's not Korach, but va'ikach, and he took. So again, as I mentioned, because it doesn't say exactly what did he take, that allowed the rabbis to dream a little bit and to present different explanations of what may he have taken. Okay, and I brought some of those explanations for you because they are countless. Many different rabbis giving their own opinions about what happened there. Okay, so for example, Rashi says Korach took himself to a different side. Karen, you said let's see. You say here, the Hertz edition translate that he took men. Yeah, that's one of the explanations. I think it's yeah, you see, that's even Ezra and his Kuni in my text here. So let's go through all the things. The Ramban will say he took a counsel into his heart. Okay, so it's basically, Ramban says it's not talking about people, but it's talking about some bad advice that he took. It doesn't say who gave it to him, but again, we're going to see in this class, hopefully, that there is a beautiful midrash about where that advice came from. Okay, then even Ezra and his Kuni said he took other people. As Karen said here, he took men. He convinced other people to follow him. Seforno will go beyond the other people that they are mentioned in the opening verse, and he said he took 250 national leaders. That it's almost like he was able to brainwash them and convince them to follow him to their doom, because that's exactly what happened at the end. Okay. And then Reish Lakish in the Talmud said he took a bad deal for himself. Yeah, exactly. At this point, it's not clear yet, but if you keep reading, you will realize at the end that he took a very bad deal. Because it's not that he was a Mr. Nobody. He had a special position within the Jewish people. He was a Levite, and they had special tasks, and they were recognized above all the other tribes. So don't get me wrong, he wasn't a nobody. But he wanted more. He wanted more, so he took a bad deal for himself, and because he wanted more and more, he ended up losing everything. Okay? So, but the interesting thing here is that the more I was reading about what rabbis were saying about Korach, and then he took this, he took that, he took that, he took another thing, that make me think that what he took is actually irrelevant. Why is that? Because what we are going to see about Korach is that in general, he was a taker. And it's not, it's kind of interesting that in this parsha, we are going to see always Korach compared to the figure of Moses. So we are going to see them presented in opposite ways. Korach is going to be always the taker, the one he wants more for himself. And Moses is going to be the one that is going to be presented as the giver, the one that does everything for the sake of his nation. So we have these two characters, the taker and the giver. And I think that this is something that sometimes we all have to take a stance. What do you want to be in your life? Are you a taker or a giver? Because if we think about it, the Kabbalah would say that God created this world to give. Yeah, imagine this situation. God being the most wonderful being in the universe. But God is alone. God has all this light and all this goodness. But if you don't have a recipient, all that light and all that goodness doesn't go anywhere. It's irrelevant. Doesn't matter how much you have inside. You need a receiver. So God created the world to give. when we were created in the image of God. In a sense, so that we have to become givers as well. Debbie Pollack, you said Korach, Lakach. What does the word Korach mean? It's an interesting question. I didn't read anything midrash specifically about his name. Maybe I should, because we know in the Torah names are very important. Usually names define who you are or gives us a clue who people are when we have all these names. Yeah. So do you have any other comments that I would like to see here? Karen, you said, I take no responsibility for this. Clyde Hertig says, it sounds like Tuches. That's a good one. That's a good one. For Tuches. Yes. Okay. But he took for himself, not for us. He took for himself. Very, very, very interesting. Okay, so yeah. He was the taker and Moses was the giver. We are going to see in a verse that Moses actually defends himself by saying, I never took anything from them. Let's say I will present it now, and we're going to study it later. You see this one here at the very end, when it says Moshe was very angry and said to God, don't accept the grain offering. I haven't taken one donkey from them. You see, again, nothing is random in the Torah. Why is Moses saying, I didn't take? Because the parsha opens with Korach took. You see, but sometimes it's beautiful to find these gems in the Torah. So one word can define the person, and then next we keep reading and we find the opposite in a different characters. Here is Korach versus Moshe. So when we are reading in this parsha, the fight between the two, actually, I believe is an allegory from two concepts fighting each other all the time in history. Takers versus givers. It's Denise, you said it seems like he was an opportunist who was out for himself and cared less for his tribe's people. Yep. In fact, if a deeper analysis of what he did will show you that he didn't even care for his friends. He wanted all for himself. And we are going to see that as well. Okay, so let's go after the opening verse. Let me present to you a reflection from the Midrash and also from Rashi. And it goes like this. Again, what moved him is Korach, to start the quarrel? Well, he was moved to it by the fact that Elitzaphan, the son of his father's brother, was appointed prince over his family, as it says in number 330. And the prince of the father's house of the families of the Kehathite was Elitzaphan, the son of Uzziel. So Korach argued, my father was one of 4 brothers, as it says, and the sons of Kehat were Amram, and Itzar, and Hebron, and Uzziel. As for Amram, the firstborn, his son Aaron attained to greatness, and Moses to royalty. Who then should rightly take the next office? It is not the next in line. Now I, being the son of Itzar, should by right be the next leader, the leader of the Kehathite. Yet Moses appointed the son of Uzziel. Shall the son of the youngest of my father's brother be superior to me? Behold, I shall dispute his decision and put to naught all that has been arranged by him. Well, it's interesting because, and this is something that is repeated in the Torah again and again and again. And if you want, I recommend to all of you a wonderful class that was prepared by Rabbi Matthew Anibal that is called Birth Right or Birth Wrong, where he presents an analysis of all the people and all the times that God didn't choose the firstborn. In fact, it's most of the time that God did not choose the firstborn. Why? Because being the firstborn doesn't mean that you are going to be the best person for the job. So this is what is happening here. Moses, who was the leader of the people of Israel, was the one who knew what was necessary to lead that nation, decided that the son of Uzziel was the best person for the job. And I'm sorry, Korach, you didn't like it, but it looks like you weren't the right person. And with all the attitudes that we are seeing in this parsha, all what it does is to prove Moses right. Why? Well, I never knew the son of Uzziel, but if Moses was looking specific characteristics in people, perhaps he was looking for givers, not for takers. Because when you are a leader, why do you want to be a leader? Just so people can honor you, or so you can do something for somebody else? If you have the skill of leadership to be able to connect and empathize with many people, to guide them, to lead them, but for what? Usually to do something good. Because people by themselves, sometimes they won't know what to do, but if you're a strong leader, you can put them together and work together towards a common goal. But if you are a taker, then everything wrong. It's wrong from the get-go. Then your goal is to put all the people together so you will have more people honoring you. And that's a wrong message, unfortunately. And that's what happened with Korach. What he wanted was people to honor him, not to do something for others. And that's bad. So now let's go back to this verse that I presented to you before. And oh, look at this. My microphone is blocking a little bit here, so maybe I should move myself out of the way. I should move myself out of the way like this. Very good. So it says, then Moses sent to summon Dathan and Abiram, the son of Eliab. But they replied, we won't come up. It is such a mere trifle bringing us up from the land flowing with milk and honey to kill us in the desert, that now you arrogate to yourself the role of dictator over us? You haven't at all brought us into a land flowing with milk and honey, and you haven't put us in possession of fields and vineyards. Do you think you can gouge out these men's eyes and blind them? We won't come up. Moshe was very angry and said to God, don't accept their grain offering. I haven't taken one donkey from them. I've done nothing wrong to any of them. Whoa, too much information here. And we are going to go part by part with these verses. Okay? So we have different things. Number one is, and it's very important, Moses wanted to dialogue with these people. You see that? I can think of so many other examples in history, ancient history and modern history, where if somebody will dare to argue with the leader wouldn't spend time trying to dialogue with the other people. They would just send the police, the army, whatever they have at their disposal to terminate the quarrel. And that's it. Game over. Let's move on. That's not what Moses did. Moses actually tried to talk with these people. The other thing we see here is how Korach and his people, they are saying, they are arguing that Egypt was the land of milk and honey. And then they are also pinning on Moses the failure to enter to the promised land. Remember, we studied that last week about the 12 spies, the 10 spies who came back and said it's impossible, big punishment from God, and now they have to walk around for 40 years until all that generation dies. So now we see that these people are blaming Moses for that. It's almost like they said, okay, we want to enter to the land of Israel, but because of you, we are not there. So we should go back to the real land of milk and honey. So I said, we won't go there. We won't waste our time talking to you. Which is interesting. It's very interesting that they have that attitude. But Moses was angry. And why was he angry? Because they had a different opinion? Not at all. Not at all. Moses is angry because it's saying, Moses is understanding that Korach and his followers are accusing him to be a taker. That Moses is there to take from them. Yeah, you want us to go 40 years around so you will get more from us. You will get more honor from all of us, because if we enter to the promised land, we don't need you anymore. But now that we have to be 40 years around with you as a leader, that's why you want to do that. And Moses says, I haven't taken a donkey from them. And this is it seems to be a reference to a previous time when Moses is presented. Is using a donkey to carry his family, and the Midrash will say that even that was his own property. He didn't even take it from the people of Israel. And what he said, I have done nothing wrong to any of them, is talking about Moses being the judge of the Jewish people. So two things that Korach and his friends were arguing that Moses didn't have a good attitude. Denise, what do you say here? They were let's see, let me highlight it. They were ignorantly and selfishly claiming Egypt was a land of milk and honey because they never had to make an effort to get food and drink. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's very interesting because they did have to, actually, in Egypt. They have to work as slaves. And you know how it works. If you're a slave, if you don't work, you don't eat. But they got used to that. They got used to that. They didn't even think about the labor. They just saw the reward at the end of the day. If you think about it, now in the desert, they didn't have to work for food. Now in the desert, they have everything from heaven. Manna, once in a while, God sent quail to feed them when they want a little bit of meat, just to have a different kind of diet once in a while. And they didn't have to work for it. In fact, I think we talked about that last week. That was one of the reasons why some people didn't want to enter to the land of Israel, because they knew that once they entered to the land of Israel, they were going to start working to eat. So perhaps for some of them was easier to stay in the desert with magical food, with the sukkah, with God protecting them with the cloud of glory, and so forth. So you see how dysfunctional these people were, that they thought that in Egypt they had food and drink for free, which actually was not free. They were paying with their bodies, with their health, but working for the Egyptian. It's very sad. It's very sad that they had that kind of attitude. But sometimes I compare this with different kind of dysfunctions that we have in our lives that we are not even aware of that. We get so used to our dysfunctions that we don't see it as a problem anymore. And you said, Denise, they didn't have to work for it, but they have to forage and cultivate food. Yeah, they have to work hard in those days. So now let's go back to the text, and you will see that even from this paragraph there is some halacha, some Jewish law that the rabbis learn from this story, things that we should know because it affects all of us. And let me explain. Let's start with Rashi's word that it says that Moses sent. Rashi is explaining now that little chunk. Moses sent. And he said, from where we derive that one should not persist in a dispute. Where do we learn that? Because Moses sought them out to conciliate them by peaceful words. Okay, so what happened here is that Rashi understand that is halacha encapsulated in this text. The fact that Moses tried to talk to these people became Jewish law, in the sense that every time that you have a dispute with somebody else, halacha said that you have to try to conciliate with the other person. It's very interesting. And Rashi said we learn it from this text, with this text. It's absolutely amazing. So let's read another comment about this. Moses wanted to speak to their hearts and to offer them tochecha, rebuke, and they did not want to listen. And this is a great wickedness. And therefore it says right afterwards, Moshe was very angry, for he saw that there was no hope that they should repent and that the community would continue to exist together as one. Not like the way Hillel and Shammai acted, where one group would listen with their ears to hear the arguments of the other group, and when the words were right in their eyes, they returned to rule in accordance with the other side. So, a couple of things that we have here. Number one is the tochecha, rebuke. And tochecha is one of the 613 commandments, in the sense that we have the obligation to rebuke other people if we see them doing something wrong. Also, we have to understand that at the same times the Rabbi said that you should only give tochecha, rebuke, if you know that you have a chance to succeed, because most of the time tochecha backfires. You're going to be considered judgmental. The person won't even listen to you. In fact, he may never talk to you again. So we have to be very careful with tochecha. Long story short, the Rabbi said that the rule goes as follows. You have to give tochecha only if you know how to do it, only if you have the morals to do it. I mean, if I am a robber, I won't go and rebuke you for trying to steal something, because you're going to say to me, who are you? You're worse than me. So you have to be sure that you have the moral character to give tochecha. So again, number one, you know how to do it. You're not, otherwise it's going to fail. You have the morals to do it, and you have to be sure that the other person knows how to listen to tochecha. Because most of the time, doesn't matter if you know how to give it. If the other person is not a good listener, you're not going to go anywhere. Hello, Roberto. Welcome. Welcome to the class. Okay? But nevertheless, we believe that maybe Moses thought that he was okay, that he will know the right words to say tochecha. He was hoping that these people will know how to listen. It's almost when you say to somebody else, can we talk? And the person said, no, I don't want to talk to you. Just listen to me, because I'm sure after you listen what I have to say, I'm going to change your heart, right? It's almost like that. But sometimes it's happened that the person will say, no, I don't want to talk to you anyway. Okay, so this is what happened here. Moses wanted to give tochecha. They didn't want to listen. And this is bad. So what do we learn from here? We need to learn how to listen. If somebody comes with feedback, it's good to listen. It's good for you. It's good for you. Most of the time it will be some kind of information there that will help you to become a better person. If all we are going to do is to judge everything that is said to us and we get offended right away, you may be right 90% of the times, but you are missing that other 10% that may have some good things for us, that it might help us to see a flaw and to become better. So that's number one. He wanted to give tochecha, And then he was angry because he knew right away that because they didn't want to listen to now is going to be a problem. It's going to be tension within the Jewish nation. And Moses was very sad for what he saw coming that day. Now, this text is also bringing as an example Hillel and Shammai, two big rabbis, that they were it's not that they were arguing with each other all the time, and this is a big confusion that many people have. They think that Hillel and Shammai were fighting all the time. No, Hillel and Shammai, in fact, themselves, they never fought. They never disagree with each other. The one who disagreed were their students. So generations after him, there were almost like two schools. That is usually known as the house of Hillel and the house of Shammai. And those were the one arguing with each other. Okay? Not Hillel and Shammai themselves, but their students. And those fights are epic. And they are registered in the Talmud and they're great. But what it says is they not always agreed with each other, but many times they accepted the other group's explanation of why they think differently, and they changed their mind. So that's why we always bring the house of Hillel and the house of Shammai, their debates, as a perfect example on how to disagree with other people. And Claudette, you say we have to demonstrate humility. Yes, and that's the way the house of Hillel and the house of Shammai were presented, as humble people. So, this text that it was mentioned here, again, by Rabbi Naftali Hertz-Wesley, is coming, he's quoting actually Pirkei Avot. It's from the Mishnah. And in the Mishnah we will read that any dispute that is for the sake of heaven is destined to endure. One that is not for the sake of heaven is not destined to endure. Which is a dispute that is for the sake of heaven? The disputes between Hillel and Shammai. Again, from the house of Hillel and the house of Shammai, okay? Which is a dispute that is not for the sake of heaven? The dispute of Korach and all his company. Denise, you say, compromise is key. Well, sometimes it's not even compromise. Yeah, I agree that it's key, but sometimes it's giving yourself permission to be wrong. Because what is the idea of... Because I know this for a fact. There are many people that they are great debaters, okay? And they may know that they are wrong, but they are such good speakers, and they have such ability with words, that they maybe perceive as being right, even though they know that they are wrong. So here the idea is to be humble enough to recognize when you're wrong and to say, oh, thank you for what you just said. Now I understand that I'm wrong. This is the idea. Now, which is interesting about this text on Pirkei Avot that is taken from the Mishnah is that you can see here that it's mentioning the two sides, Hillel and Shammai. But what about the other example? Korach and all his company. Whoa, hold on a minute. Shouldn't it say there Korach and Moses? What is the name of Moses there? What do you think? What do you think? Let me know. I want to know what you think. Why the name of Moses is not there? So, what is the name of Moses? Let me explain it as I learned it. You need two to tango. Just remember those words. You need two to tango. If somebody wants to pick a fight, they need another side. And Moses didn't go for it. When Moses saw what was happening, he tried to talk to them. Then they didn't want to talk to him. So Moses said, okay, If it, I won't argue with you, because I know this is Moses was not arguing. So there was no other side. So basically, that's what he said, the dispute of Korach and all his company. It's almost implying that not only that Moses wasn't there, but Korach was also fighting with his own people, because he had so many private agendas within that group. Because we saw at the beginning, Korach has his own issue, right? Because of the son of Uzziel and so forth. But what about the other leaders? Why did they follow Korach? Because they also have their own agendas, things that they would like to do, positions that they wanted to take, and they couldn't under Moses, and they thought, maybe I will be able to do it under Korach. But I'm pretty sure many people thought the same way, so they were fighting between them. But Moses is the fact that Moses is out of this Mishnah is amazing. It's amazing. Now, to be fair, Pirkei Avot is quoting the Torah. What it says in number 17:5, it said, "Won't be like Korach and his group." Okay, that's why it said that the other side was Korach and his group, but the name of Moses is not there. What does it say that? The Talmud says, anyone who engages in divisiveness transgresses a divine prohibition, and it is written, won't be like Korach and his group. So in other words, from this parsha, we already learned two halachot, two pieces of Jewish law. Number one, you always try to conciliate when you have an argument. Number two, if you are a reason for divisiveness in a place, you are violating a commandment from the Torah. We should never be the ones creating divisiveness in a place. Especially, it could be within a family, could be within a place of work, could be in the world that we create divisiveness. And we see this all the time. Many people, but they seems to be their goal in life, to create division among people. Because we all know the popular belief that, you create division, and then you crown yourself on top of that. The more divided the people are, the easier to control them. Yeah. So Denise, you said, let me see what you said here. God was willing to wipe everything away before trying to find a solution. Why was that? Who said that God didn't try to find a solution first? Because even, for example, let's go back in time, when the story of the flood, that God ended up almost destroying humanity completely. Even that was not done overnight. The fact that Noah was building the ark for over 100 years, it's perceived as being an opportunity for people to change. And of course, an opportunity for Noah to convince people to change would never happen. But that's another story. We're going to eventually reach again the book of Genesis and study once again the story of Noah. Maybe that time we can study about that. But the same thing happened with the generation of the desert, when God kind of threatened with destroying the entire people of Israel, but it never happened. They always got another chance. They always got another chance to change. In fact, many times they did change, right? But now I wanted to talk to you about other things that we read in the verse. Let me go here and let me go back and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Back at the beginning. Let's see who was here. It said, and Korach, the son of Itzar, the son of Kehat, the son of Levi, took, and Datan and Abiram, the son of Eliab, and the son of Eliab, and On, the son of Pelet, the sons of Reuven. How many people we have here? Let's count. Korach, Datan, Abiram, and On. 4. Okay, 4 people. 4 people. Then when we go here, Then we have that Moshe sent someone, Datan and Aviram, okay, who were the second in command, let's say, from Korach. And then eventually Korach was going to be mentioned again, even though it's not mentioned in this verse, but Korach, the name of Korach is coming back. But the name that we never read again is the name of On, the son of Pelet. Which is very interesting, because you will think, where the heck is son of Pelet here? Where did he go? He was just mentioned there at the beginning that he was one of the leaders who rebelled against Moses. How come we never read about him again? Where is he? What do you say, Brocky? So how do we know when our adversary has become a modern day Korach? Where is the bright line? I don't know. I have a question. I don't know. I have an answer for that. Because it's easier to read the text in the Torah where everything is presented in a very clear form. In our days, unfortunately, everything is more relative. But nevertheless, I believe in small situations in our lives, sometimes we can recognize who is the giver and who is the taker, right? So, David Pollack, you say, I think his wife convinced him not to participate. Yes, David Pollack, that seems to be what happened with On, the son of Pelet. And I wanted to present this midrash for you because I found it fascinating. Because, you see, who was this guy? It says, I'm going to read this text. It's from the Talmud, okay? It's going to be 2 slides in a row. Said Rav, On, the son of Pelet, was saved by his wife. Interesting. She said to him, what matters it to you whether the one remains leader or the other becomes leader? So what she's saying is either Moshe stays as a leader or Korach becomes the leader. You will be but a follower. Nothing will change for you. She said, but what can I do? I have taken part in their council. So he answered his wife, right? What can I do? I have taken part in the council, and they have sworn me to be with them. She said, sit here, and I will save you. She gave him wine to drink, intoxicated him, and put him to bed within the tent. Then she sat down at the entrance and loosened her hair. Whoever came to summon him saw her and retreated. Okay? So that is considered part A of the Talmud text. Then the Talmud switches, because we know now that, yeah, she was great, she saved him. So that's why he quit from the revolt. And he stayed faithful to Moses thanks to the counsel of his wife. Meanwhile, Korach's wives joined in and said to him, see what Moses has done. He himself has become king. His brother he appointed high priest. His brother's sons he had made the vice high priests. If teruma, that's an offering, is brought, he decrees, let it be for the priest. If the tithe is brought, which belongs to you, to the Levites, he orders, give a 10th part thereof to the priest. Moreover, he has had your hair cut off. Well, this is something that is very interesting. The mentioning of the hair cutting off is coming from Numbers 8:7. That's what I put it here. It's right above me, right? Where the Lord spoke to Moses saying, take the Levites from among the Israelites and cleanse them. This is what you should do to them to cleanse them. Sprinkle on them water of purification and let them go over their whole body with a razor. Wash their clothes. Thus they shall be cleansed. So this is what she's saying here. It said, don't you realize that Moses asked you to cut off your hair? So let's continue. We'll talk more about that. And make sport of you as though you were dirt, for he was jealous of your hair. So basically, this is almost like Moses had like a very bad hair, so he didn't care to use a razor and to remove all the hair because he barely had any. But Korach had a beautiful hair, so he said everybody should shave their heads. almost nothing changed for Moses, but everything changed for Korach. It's amazing. It's just, this is the reading that she is making of the whole situation, right? That Moses is doing all that just to harm you. Oy gewollt. And I'm laughing because we all know people that they think that everything is about them. This is exactly what is happening here. But let's keep reading. Said he to her, but he had done likewise. So she replied, since all the greatness was his, he also said, let me die with the Philistine. This is she's quoting here Samson, that he preferred to die. Remember the end of the book of the story of Samson? He died, but he also killed all the Philistines. So basically Moses said, yeah, I'm gonna shave my head just so you will shave yours. That's why the comparison here with Samson. So, thus it is written, a wise woman builds her house. This refers to the wife of On, the son of Pelet. But the foolish woman destroys it with her hands. This refers to Korach's wife. Let's take a pause here, because there's lots here to process. In the sense as, of course, we read here wives, husband. This is the time in which was written, but it's talking about our partners in life. Who do you choose as your partner in life? Well, it clearly presents two different models that almost mirrors the two models that they were presented in this story, Moses and Korach. Remember what I mentioned at the beginning? Moses the giver, Korach the taker. And this is exactly the same, because the wife of On, she is presented as a giver. She takes, her goal in life within that marriage is to give to her husband. While Korach's wife, she's presented in the opposite way. She's a taker. I want more honor. And she even makes fun. She makes fun of her husband. To say, look how ridiculous you are without your hair, and putting all this idea that he's making him stress with all that she's saying. I want you to go there, and I want you to fight Moses. It's because she wanted it. So I think this speaks to all of us as partners. For all of us that we have a partner. What do we do for our partners? Do we build them up? Do we live a life to give them? Or our goal within a marriage is to become takers? Because I believe that when both partners are givers, so they give to each other, that builds a strong marriage. Now, with both partners are takers, that marriage can't go anywhere. Unfortunately. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm reading your comments, guys. That's what it says. A good woman helps. Yeah, but I think this goes beyond. This goes beyond man and woman, and it's talking about partners in life and what we do for each other. That's yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. And yeah, okay. So I think I said what I wanted to say today to all of you guys. So it's kind of cool. Let me go back to my here. Always remember, subscribe and hit the bell so you will be notified every time you go live or every time we upload something to our channel. So if you have any questions, any comments, type it now. I would like to see what you think about these characters of this Parsha. And at the same time, I would like to thank you all for participating. Thank you so much for being here. And I can't remember who said at the beginning that is Rosh Chodesh. We are Rosh Chodesh Tammuz. It's a kind of sad month, the Jewish calendar, because the 17th day of Tammuz is going to be the day where the Babylonians breached the walls of Jerusalem, and eventually on the 9th of Av is the month after Tammuz, the temple was destroyed. So pretty soon, on the 17th of Tammuz, until the 9th of Av, we're going to start a very sad period of the Jewish calendar called the 3 weeks. And I will teach you more about that in the coming sessions that we get together. But for now, you should have it in mind. So thank you again, and remember, the class is going live again tonight at 8 if you want to play it again, or if you know somebody who missed it, just let them know that it's going to be live. It's going to be repeated, the recording, at 8 tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being there. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and hope to see you soon. I'm hoping things are going to keep improving here in the province of Manitoba, and we're going to be able to see each other and to be in person together once again very soon. Until then, take care and be safe. Bye everyone. Chodesh Tov.